Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Pyramido by Synapsis Games.
Pyramido is a tile-laying game in which you and the other players are drafting domino tiles and trying to build the most majestic pyramid for the Pharaoh, encrusted with jewels and all. The player who does this the best, building their 3D pyramid, is going to be the winner. Let me show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer.
All right, I have Pyramido on the table. Let me show you how this tile laying game is going to work about building a pyramid. Now for the components with this game, obviously you're going to have lots of tiles. These tiles are going to be two-sided, divided in half, and it's going to be a domino. It's going to act as a domino in this game. As you can see, you have lots of different colors, and some of the dominoes are going to have jewel markers on them. Some of them won't. In addition to that, you're also going to give every player a set of 6 wooden jewel tokens. I'll come back to what these are good for in a minute. And each player will also have 3 resurfacing cards, and these cards are the same for each player. The color in the bottom corner tells you what the color is going to be on the back side of that particular card. You'll also have a score pad to help you keep track of the score through the 4 different rounds as well as the end of the game. Now this game is played in 4 rounds, and in the first round you are going to be building a 5x4 pyramid or a 4x5 pyramid, your choice on how you do that. And then in the preceding rounds after that, you will be building the next level of the pyramid, which is going to be a little bit smaller, and in the very last round you're only building 1 tile on top of that, so it's very small. Now how this game is going to work: on your turn, starting with the first player, you'll draft one of the 3 options that are available to you in this row right here. And so taking a look at these domino tiles real quick, as you can see, there are 2 different sides, and sometimes there's a jewel marker on that particular side. As I already pointed out, sometimes there's not. Now what you are trying to accomplish in this game is you are trying to mark certain portions of your pyramid, the level that you're working on, with the matching jewel marker. So this dark blue cat matches the dark blue cat on this particular tile, and once I have that marker on that section, what I'll be trying to do throughout the rest of the round and the rest of the game really is to make that connected area as big as possible with as many jewel markers in it. And because what that's going to do for me at the end of the round, that area that has the marker in it will give me 1 point for every jewel in that area. Now if I have another blue area, dark blue area with these cats somewhere else on my pyramid, but it doesn't have the marker in it, those are not going to give me any points at all. So I have to have the marker in it. So going back to what you do on your turn, you'll draft one of these tiles, and if there is a jewel marker on that particular tile, you will have to place one of your tokens. Now, if I take this tile, I have a choice. I can either place this marker right here on that side of the domino, or I place the cat marker on that side of the domino. I pick one or the other, and once I've placed it there, it's going to stay there for the rest of the round, and that means I'm going to be scoring this area, and I'll want to try and make it as big as possible, as I've already told you. Now, if you pick a domino that doesn't have any jewel markers on one particular side, then you have to place the marker on the other side, like so with the red one here. Now if you've already placed a particular marker when you play a tile, you obviously cannot play that marker because you've already played it somewhere else within your pyramid. So there's a timing element to when you want to draft these, because it may force you to have to play a particular marker when you're not ready to do so, when you haven't really built up that area, or you don't plan on doing so because there's not that color coming up anytime soon. So you do have to be aware of what's happening right at that moment, but what you are trying to do throughout the rest of the game. Now, once you place a tile in your pyramid, obviously it cannot move, but just because I place it right in the center does not necessarily mean that this is the center of the particular level that I'm working on. It could be that this is the far left edge, and then I'm going to go this direction with all my other tiles, or vice versa. Once you've drafted a tile and you've placed a marker, if you have to, then you will choose one of the top 2 tiles for the stacks that conjoin to make up the open spot in the drafting market. So I took the one that was right here, and I have to pick either this tile or this tile to replace it in the market. And then it would be the next person's turn. And you would continue to do this, building up your pyramid. Now, one other thing that you can do on your turn is once you've placed a marker, and if you've placed a jewel marker on it, then you can resurface the tile if you choose to do so. So for instance, I may want to cover up this light blue and make it dark blue, because that really helps out my area here that I'm building with the dark blue cats. But once I've placed this card on this tile, it's gone for the rest of the game. I will not get it back. And at the end of a round, if you've not built your floor in a particular way and you've left some open gaps, because it is a 5x4 grid, you're going to have to be smart about how you're placing these tiles, and it may create open gaps in your floor at the end of the round. You will have to use these resurfacing cards to fill up gaps where there aren't tiles, and if you don't have enough cards to be able to do that, you're eliminated from the game. So you do have to be careful about using these to cover up spots on your cards, although that's what they're intended to do. So mainly is to cover up the tile spaces to help you make bigger color sections. Now, I do want to show you real quick. I'm just going to throw some tiles out here, not really thinking this through too well, but I want you to see that once you have a particular floor built, so we're going to do something like this, and again, I'm not really paying attention to the colors here, but now this is my 5x4 first level, and how we would score the points is, again, we would have to count however many jewels there are in marked colored areas. So just going off of this real quick, when we don't even have any green, so I'm not going to get any green points there. So I would get 1, 2, 3 points for blue, 1 point for light blue, 1, 2, 3 points for yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4 for red, and 1, 2 for brown. Then I would also double the score of my lowest scoring region, which in this case would be this 1 for the light blue. I would get that again. That's called the Domino's bonus. I'd add up all those points, and that would be my score for the end of round 1. You'd find out who has the lowest score at the end of round 1. You'd clear off all these jewels. You'd refill the market, obviously, but then the player who has the lowest score at the end of round 1, they would get to go first, drafting new tiles. And when you start the second round, you are going to be building in the area that is on top of the first level. You're going to not put anything on the outside edge. You'll be putting them on the corners, as you can see right here. Now this becomes the corner, and I have to build the rest using this area right here. But what's really cool is that I will be getting, so if I put it right here, I will be getting the color region that's on the level underneath the tile that I just placed. This wouldn't really be a good placement. Let's get this red right here, because that red jewel is going to be staying there for the rest of the game because it's on the outside edge and nothing is ever going to cover up that. So this red jewel actually really helps out but with this tile right here. And I would get to score that at the end of the second round and going forward. Because in the next round, you will be placing a tile like so, or actually it'd be like this, because you would leave this outer edge of the second level available to you. And then in the last and final round, as I mentioned, you're only placing one tile, the fourth level, right in the middle. And that's how the game works. You'll add up all your points at the end of 4 rounds to figure out who is going to be the winner. And that's how you play Pyramido. Let's go back up top and share thoughts on this one.
And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Pyramido from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, tile laying game here.
But in a pyramid.
But in a pyramid, yeah. So this has got some, very classic mechanics, familiar mechanics. You're drafting tiles, you're placing them into your area of play, connecting them to other tiles. Yeah. This to me feels a lot like King Domino. This feels kind of like 3D King Domino. Yeah. What was your experience like with this game?
I mean, it's tile laying, so I was happy. I was content. But I thought it was definitely a unique take on tile laying. Yeah. I don't think we have hardly any games that you're going vertical.
Well, we definitely have played some before.
Yeah.
But Acropolis is one that definitely comes to mind, where you're playing tiles on top of other tiles and having that 3D aspect. So there's some that are out there. It's definitely, I feel like, only a more recent idea to do in games, tile laying games especially. But yeah, to your point, it definitely does feel different though.
Yeah.
The idea of what you're trying to do in this game and how to go about getting your points in this one, what was that like for you?
I thought it was really interesting. Creating your first grid, I think I kind of set myself up for failure at the beginning because I wasn't thinking. You have to think ahead a little bit. You have to think, are my next tiles going to go? Where do I want my symbols? Because the symbols are what end up getting you more points. I got really lucky and ended up with a huge area of symbols. And I think did I win? Or
Yeah, no, you won this
yeah.
one. Yeah.
But that wasn't how it was at the beginning. So it is more of a forward thinking game because you're covering up most of your bottom layer,
Right.
and then most of your middle layer. You're just having the outside line visible, and so I think you kind of have to think ahead of that.
Yeah, you definitely do have to think ahead in this game, and I think that's one of the things that I like the most about it is that this is not just a tile laying game in which I draft the tile and I make the split second decision of what's the best spot for this tile to go at this point in the game for me, which is kind of what you do in a lot of tile laying games because you can't foresee so many turns down the road. You're not sure what tiles are going to be coming out for you. And it's not as though you have a whole lot of foreknowledge with this game either, but you do have to think, I know I'm going to put something on this tile eventually in the next round.
Yeah.
So what part of this tile do I want to make sure doesn't get covered up? What do I want to make sure is next to it that's not covered up as well? Because I want to put something on top of it that's going to connect well with both of those things. So you do have to think not just short term, but long term, second round, third round, fourth round. That's really quite clever with this game. I do enjoy that aspect. What did you think about the scoring mechanic with this one? Because it definitely does feel like King Domino, where you're trying to build these same colored regions.
Yeah.
And you want to try to get as many of the different, it's not crowns and like it would be in King Domino, but it's the little jewels. And then not only that, but you had to make sure that it was the where you had placed your wooden token.
Yep.
Otherwise, none of them are going to count for you anyway.
Yep.
So trying to jump through all these hoops, what was that like for you?
I think it works really well because it's easy enough to get the colors that you need, but get the symbol where you need them as well. Mm-hmm. And that's how I ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
And somebody else could have had the same amount of colors, but they could have had half the amount of symbols I had just based on the tiles they chose and how they laid them down. And so I do think that gives, a benefit to non-gamers, because you are at the luck of what tiles are available to you, and you do have the benefit of choosing a tile and then knowing, hey, he's next, he needs blue, I'm picking that orange one because I don't want him to get what he wants.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a really cool concept of not like Sam said, not only just making sure you connect the colors, but you have the gems visible and you're placing your tiles in a way that they're going to stay visible for you for the rest of the game, which ultimately means you want them on the outside edge as much as you can.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it just doesn't work for you and you can't place it that way, but if you can, that's going to be best for you because those are going to stay visible the entire game.
Yeah.
But then there's the timing aspect too, because I draft this tile and I place it, and if it has a gem on it in that colored region, I have to place a wooden token on it. Or if both sides do, then I get to pick. But you want to make sure that you're drafting them at the right time, because if I build up this red section, but then I close it off, and then by the end of the round I have a bigger red section with more jewels in it, oh well, that's too bad because you've already placed your red token.
Yeah.
It's things like that that really kind of make this game even more clever. Okay, let's get to pros and cons for Pyramido. What stood out to you in a good way?
I just think the uniqueness of creating the bottom or the outline of a pyramid was really unique and not something that we see a lot of. So I liked that. I liked that the layer that you create at the beginning can benefit you at the end. Mm-hmm. And it was an easy enough game. Our 6-year-old played with us. He had to have a little bit of help. but he understood it. It's matching. It's putting colors together.
He understood enough to know that's the best one for me to draft right now. I'm going to take it and play it. He needed a little bit of help of knowing, okay, if you place it like that, that's going to help you a little bit. But if you turn it this way, that's going to help you even more.
Yeah.
Like, he needed a little bit, but he knew which one to be drafting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he could definitely play.
So I like that this is very much a family game.
Yes.
And fairly quick, too. It says 45 minutes, and I don't think it was any more than that.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this game, you play the first round, which is definitely the longest round, and you probably walk away, if you walked away just from that first round, you'd think this is going to be an hour and a half long game, because that first round takes
but the last layer is...
Oh, yeah, the last turn is just one domino.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the game rapidly speeds up. And, yeah, so that's a cool way the game unfolds. I really enjoyed, like I said just a second ago, that timing aspect. I thought that was pretty clever, and I feel like it makes your decisions even crunchier. It's not just a drafting game for what's best for me right now, but do I really want to have to play that red token, or do I want to maybe draft the other one that has red on it but no gems, so that I can build up my area of red and connect it to maybe some other red? That's a fun part of the game.
Yeah.
All right, so Sam, is there anything with this game that doesn't work so well for you?
I think it is a really well put together game, and it flows really well. I think I would add a little bit more to it. We all get square tiles that you can use in case you don't put your grid together exactly if you're having a space.
Resurfacing tiles.
Yeah. And so you can use that in place, or you can put it on top of a tile to use it as the color that you want. I think that besides using it, I think it's a tiebreaker if two people have the exact same score. Other than that, there's no benefit to not using them.
Right.
And I personally, as someone who prides himself on not having to use that because I know how to make a grid exactly how it's supposed to be, I think I should get a benefit for not having to use them because I did it correctly.
Wow.
So I feel like there should be like a bonus point or something for having all of them.
I don't disagree with that.
You just think I'm cocky.
No, honestly, you bring that up, and it does kind of make me think of one thing I felt throughout the course of the game, and I think you can maybe house rule this, obviously. We were playing with our kids, and them being younger, they obviously, we're not going to be too hard on them, but I felt like those resurfacing tiles definitely do make the game easier for you.
Yeah.
And not having them at all is an option to make the game way more difficult. But what I think would maybe be a good in-between is only using them when you built your grid and you've realized, wow, I'm not going to be able to make it be the perfect rectangle. I've got a gap here and a gap there. Filling in those gaps, I feel like, are the only thing those resurfacing tiles should be for. I don't know that I really like how you can place them on actual domino tiles to change one half of the color to make it match up with another. Like, that to me makes the game too easy, or at least whenever you're playing with adults. When you're playing with kids and it needs to be a family weight game, that's fine for the kids. Don't do it if you're the adults. Although I did do it.
I did not, because I'm good at this game.
I do agree with Sam. I think there should be a little bit more with those tiles. They should give you points at the end if you don't use them.
Yeah.
Or if you want to house roll it, don't cover up the dominoes.
Yeah.
For me, another maybe small con is that I do feel like while it's drafting, in any game that has drafting, there's a luck of the draw for what's available to you in the market when it's your turn to draft. Now, this game definitely has some, not mitigation, but it's definitely, you can see what's coming next on top of those stacks. And so you have an idea of maybe what will be available for you once it comes back around to your turn. And I do think a pro is, Sam mentioned this earlier, I can see what she needs, and if she goes after me, I get to pick what fills up the spot. And so I'm not picking the one that helps her. And that's not hate drafting, because I'm not taking away what would help her. I'm just keeping her from being able to get to it. I do like that. But I do feel like you can have some bad luck in this game where you just don't get yellow to come up. And I never use my yellow token, and that's a whole token that I'm getting no points for because it just never was available to me to draft out of the market.
You just work with what you have and you do a good job. and you don't suck
Well.
at the game, then you're sort of fine.
Speaking like somebody who wins every game we play.
No, it's not the case. I just happened to win this one, so.
All right, let's get to our scores for Pyramido. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where does this tile laying game come in at for you?
I really did like this game. I thought it was fun. I liked that we could play it with the kids. I mean, it is going to be pretty high for me. I think I'd give it a solid 8.
Okay, all right. Any reason why you would rate this one higher than other tile laying games?
I just think it's unique with the building on top of each other and the scoring aspect. I really liked that. It was new, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, for me, this is hard for me to rate because it does feel so similar to King Domino. And King Domino is a game that you and I have played a lot over the years, even before the channel.
Yeah.
It may be one of our most played games if we look at all the games we've played ever.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we really, really enjoyed King Domino. We've enjoyed the other iterations of it too. And because this feels so similar to it, but it does feel like it's different enough that it stands on its own. It's hard for me to say, is it better than King Domino? Or is it maybe, has it changed up how it works? And is this better than King Domino?
We're just asking you to score it.
I feel like it's right there in the same ballpark as King Domino, which if you like King Domino, I think you're probably going to like this game. And honestly, I'm right there with Sam. I think this is an 8. I think this is a game that it provides enough uniqueness to make it stand out in the tile laying world of board games.
Our top 10 is going to be the most boring video.
It's going to be a lot of tile laying and polyomino kind of games.
We just have to give a disclaimer.
I mean, I don't know. But the reason why I feel like this one may make a top 10 video for me is because it's a simple, straightforward rule set. And it's going to be a cinch to be able to explain it to people. This is what you're doing. You want the colors, and you want a lot of the jewels in those colors. Go. But then it adds on that extra level of thinking of placing a tile on top of another tile, and then the timing of placing your token to score that region when you play the tile. So there's a lot of crunchy decisions to make in this game that sets it apart. So that's where I'm at, an 8. Sam's an 8. You probably will see it in a top 10 video at the end of the year. So really good game here. The game is Pyramido. It's from Synapsis Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about it.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.